Heated Rivalry just smashed HBO records. And here's the twist. The audience? Almost entirely straight women. But that fascination didn't start here. They've been loving stories of men falling for men for years in Asian BL or boys' love dramas. The difference? In the West, masculinity looks like Clavicular, the viral jawline guy. In Asia, it looks more like K-pop idols, polished, stylish, and unafraid to be beautiful. Same women, totally opposite men. What's really pulling them in? Let's unpack it. Heated Rivalry centers on Shane Hollander Hudson Williams, a Japanese-Canadian golden boy, and Ilya Connor Storrie, a flashy Russian star. Beginning as teenage rivals at 17, they enter a secret romantic entanglement while competing for championships and Olympic gold. The hit show is adapted from the popular Game Changers novel series by Canadian author Reid. How popular is it? It is a phenomenon. The show dropped on November 28, 2025, and the response was immediate. HBO didn't just renew it. They fast-tracked Season 2 for spring 2027. 3 things made it blow up. First, this adaptation came with a built-in army. Reid's Game Changers series had been cultivating a passionate fandom for years. These weren't casual readers. These were people who'd been waiting, campaigning, dreaming of seeing Shane and Ilya on screen. When the show finally dropped, they didn't just watch it. They became its megaphone. Second, HBO brought something no other network would. Complete creative freedom, full budget, unflinching intimacy, no fade to black moments, no network censors cutting away at the crucial moment. This is unapologetic queer romance with the same explicit treatment HBO gives to heterosexual relationships. That matters. It's a statement about whose love stories deserve to be shown in full. Third, Heated Rivalry nails the actual psychological reality of being closeted in professional sports. Not some sanitized version. The real thing. The paranoia. The isolation. The constant performance of heterosexuality. Watch Shane navigate a media scrum, always calculating how he stands, how close he gets to Ilya, who might read between the lines. That specificity is what's making people who've never watched queer content before stop and pay attention. And yet the more I watched, the more one question wouldn't leave me alone. Why does Shane need to be a hyper-masculine hockey player for this romance to work? What if he were softer? What if he didn't have that aggressive, traditionally masculine presentation? Would we still take the love story seriously? To answer that question, we need to examine what I would call the masculinity puzzle. Let me show you what I mean. Shane Hollander isn't just masculine. He's a specific type of masculine that Western media keeps returning to. Elite athlete, physically imposing. The kind of build that takes up space in a room. Watch how he carries himself. There's aggression built into his posture, his movements, even the way he looks at people. And it's not just Shane. Ilya has the same coded presentation. Flashy, yes, but still built like he could demolish someone on the ice. Still aggressive. Still traditionally, undeniably masculine in his physicality. Both of them fit this mold. Both of them need to. And this isn't new. Western storytelling has been doing this for decades. Look at Brokeback Mountain. 2 cowboys whose love had to hide inside fishing trips and mountain getaways because the world they lived in would destroy them for it. Or Freyr Fall, where 2 police officers who fall for each other on their daily training runs, only for one of them to choose his uniform over his heart. And there's most recently Pillion, a leather-clad biker world where Alexander Skarsgård's dominant, muscle-bound lead sweeps a timid man into a universe of raw power and desire. In a nutshell, different stories, different decades, same blueprint. This is what's called the Tom of Finland blueprint. Tom of Finland was a Finnish artist whose homoerotic drawings in the mid-20th century defined a very specific aesthetic for Western gay culture. Think exaggerated muscles, leather gear, uniforms. His men were hyper-masculine to the extreme, leather daddies, muscle bears, cowboys, bikers, construction workers, bodies that scream strength, dominance, power. And that aesthetic became the visual language Western culture uses to say, this kind of queerness is acceptable, this kind is legitimate. Its masculinity so pronounced that it can't be questioned. And in that world, in our world, their hyper-masculine presentation isn't just character design. It's about survival. But here's what started bothering me. Why does every Western story about men loving men that breaks into the mainstream look exactly the same? Cowboys, officers, bikers, hockey players? Men who have to prove they're masculine enough before we let them be romantic. That's when I started to do a bit of research and chanced upon boys' love, also known as BL, a massive phenomenon in Asia, especially in Thailand, Japan, and China. And what I discovered made me rethink everything. In recent years, there were a string of major BL hits, such as Tharn Type, which drew huge attention with its opposites attract storyline. There was also Kin Portia with its mafia setting, as well as I Told Sunset About You, a heartfelt coming-of-age story about two former best friends with unresolved feelings leading to unexpected romance. During the pandemic, Thai series, Together, starring BL stars Win and Bright, became a breakout hit, introducing millions of new viewers globally. According to Japanese news media, Nikkei, Together hit #1 on Japan's Rakuten TV platform's annual rankings in 2020. And a Japanese tour operator's virtual tour to filming locations drew over 250 people, with nearly 99% of them being women. Yes, 99%. What's interesting is that straight women form the majority of the audience of this series. And here's the thing, Heated Rivalry's audience? Also predominantly women. Straight women who can't get enough of Shane and Ilya. So here's what doesn't make sense. If Asian BL and Heated Rivalry are both pulling in primarily female audiences looking for romance, why do their shows look so completely different? To answer that question, we have to understand how Asian BL is changing the game. Let's look at one of the biggest BL breakout hits in 2025, Thailand's The Next Prince. The lead plays an actual prince navigating royal politics, class warfare, and family duty. Real stakes, real power struggles. And here's the aha moment. The queerness is not the conflict. Nobody is being outed. Nobody's career is on the line because of who they love. The prince can love another man, and the plot simply moves forward. Being gay isn't the drama. The revolution is the drama. Another BL must-watch is Semantic Error, a South Korean hit about two polar opposites. Chu Sang-woo, a rigid computer science major who lives by logic and routine. Jang Jae-young, a free-spirited designer who becomes the literal error in Sang-woo's perfect system. And here's what makes it brilliant. There's no closet. No career-ending scandals. No, don't let them find out, panic. The tension is purely internal. Does he feel the same way? If I reach out, will he pull away? The world around them is safe, so the drama gets to be about yearning, not survival. Asian BL creates a space where love itself is the story, not the danger around it. And that's the shift. In Asian BL, the prince can wear a crown and still be gentle, sensitive, emotionally vulnerable. You don't have to prove your masculinity to earn your right to lead, or your right to be loved. But let's be honest for a second. While Asian BL creates these utopian spaces on screen, the real world in Asia is different. Marriage equality is still a battleground in many of these countries. These shows aren't mirrors of Asian society. They're safe havens, fantasies of what love could look like without the law and stigma in the way. Compare that to Heated Rivalry. Shane and Ilya are trapped in a cage of traditional manhood because Western storytelling believes the audience needs that cage to stay comfortable. Asian BL figured out a decade ago that audiences don't need the cage. They just want the heart. And here's where it gets wild. Because Asian BL exists in this utopian space, it doesn't follow Western rules about what men should look like. In Korea, there's a concept called kokominum, also known as flower boy. These are men who care about style, grooming, fashion. Soft masculinity isn't just accepted. It's what women prefer. As Korean women became more independent, they gravitated towards softer male figures, men who are open with their feelings, men who don't see women as just objects. And the market is responding to this phenomenon. According to data from Euromonitor International and the BBC, men in South Korea spend more on skincare per person than men anywhere else in the world. In fact, Korea's men's skincare market is projected to reach $3.7 billion by 2035. Soft masculinity isn't a liability in these markets. It's a selling point. Men wearing makeup, caring about their skin, presenting as gentle and beautiful, that's what women want. That's attractive. That's why you get this incredible variety in Asian BL. Princes, nerds, soft boys, feminine partners, they're not exceptions. So when Asian BL puts soft princes and anxious nerds as romantic leads, they're not breaking rules. They're giving audiences what they already desire. Now, let's be honest. Asian BL has its own issues. Colorism is real. Fair skin gets prioritized. Height matters. These industries aren't perfect. But here's what they don't do. They don't use Western hypermasculine ideals as the standard for acceptable queer men. And those Western ideals, they've reached an extreme. There's an American influencer called Clavicular who's pursuing what looks maxing culture calls the perfect masculine face, chiseled jaw, high cheekbones, angled eyes, hollow cheeks, low-set eyebrows. He's literally smashing his bones with a hammer trying to build these features. Meanwhile, Asian BL works from a completely different foundation, one where soft masculinity is already valued, already normalized. Asian BL operates in cultures where that was never required, where women have been choosing soft, beautiful, emotionally expressive men for decades. That's the difference. So, let's break this down. Let's be honest about what each show does well, because they're all accomplishing something important. Heated Rivalry nails the authenticity of jock masculinity. The real-world stakes feel lived in, not theoretical. The explicit intimacy is political. It's resistance, showing what mainstream media has been censoring for decades. And HBO's production budget opens doors for queer sports narratives that have been locked shut. The next prince owns the utopian fantasy space. Soft power becomes real power. The conflict is about class and politics, not queer trauma. It's giving audiences a world where loving another man isn't the problem that needs solving. Meanwhile, Semantic error masters the enemies, two lovers dynamic, that delicious tension between opposite personalities. And because homophobia isn't the threat, you can sink into whether they'll finally confess their feelings. It's comfort viewing with real emotional stakes. These aren't competing. They're serving different needs for different moments. If I'm being honest, Semantic error edges ahead for me personally. Because right now, I need the utopia more than I need the mirror. I need to believe in a world where the biggest obstacle to love is just fear of rejection, not fear of destruction. But I have massive respect for what Heated Rivalry is pioneering. It's proving there's a massive appetite for queer storytelling that takes itself seriously as art. And here's the dream. Seeing Western BL with Heated Rivalry's refusal to sanitize intimacy, but Asian BL's utopian confidence, and watching Asian BL that keeps its range of soft masculinity, but pushes boundaries with adult stakes. We're not there yet. But Asian BL's long history is showing us there are more ways to tell these love stories than Western media has even imagined. So, here's my question for you. What do you want from queer love stories? Do you need the mirror? Stories that reflect the real struggle, the closet, the stakes? Or do you need the utopia, a world where love gets to be the whole story? Maybe you need both, depending on the day. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you want more of this, subscribe.